What's crazy is usually I'm at these events and they all know who I am, but I don't think many people are going to know who I am at this one. But they'll know at the end.
I don't know if you knew about the situation that happened on January 9th earlier this year. Were you guys living in the home at that time? How's your attitude? How does that make you feel? We are born to be, shall remain.
18 years old, he was the #1 sales rep in the entire United States for Verizon Comcast out of 3,200 sales reps. Whoa. For the 3 consecutive years, he was the #1 home security system sales rep, and he holds a number of titles, including Salesman of the Year back-to-back times. Woo. He also holds an incredible record of 114 roofing sales in 10 days. Give a big lifetime welcome to Taylor McCarthy.
Let's go, let's go. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, I'm excited to be here. Hey, I'm going to tell you something. Enthusiasm is 51% of the sales process. Let me hear a little enthusiasm from you guys. Great. Okay, so we each have a challenge today. The challenge for me is to give you these aha moments. The challenge for you is to actually program the information into your mind. Not taking notes is like eating spaghetti with a spoon. You're going to get a lot on you, but you're not going to get a lot in you. Okay, so from this point forward, we're going to stop checking our Facebooks and we're going to start facing our checkbooks. Okay, we're going to talk about the real nitty-gritty, the how-tos of sales. How many of you guys think there's no secrets in sales? Has you ever heard that? There's no secrets in sales? I completely disagree with that. I think there's a lot of secrets. And if I was to share those secrets with you today, would that be something that you would be open to? Okay, once again, I need to hear the enthusiasm. If I was to share those secrets with you today, would that be something you would be open to? Okay, sales is a transfer of energy. We're going to talk about the nitty-gritty. I know a lot of you guys are brand new. I know a lot of you guys have experience. You know, I spent the last 17 years as a professional trick-or-treater. You see, I don't knock doors. I exercise and make friends. It's really not a job for me. And once I can explain to you the way that I think, the whole goal of today's training is to help you think completely different. That you have these aha moments or you have these light bulbs that go on in your mind. So what we're going to talk about first is something called the practicing professional. Okay? You see, there's a common denominator with any sort of professional. And that's the word practice. A lawyer calls his offices practice. Okay? The dentists, the doctors. But my question to you is, what is a salesperson? If I was to ask the outside world, what do you think of a salesperson? What would they say? What would they say? Come on, I need to hear your voices. Grimy, this, that. Okay, salesman, right? If I was to ask you what a salesperson, what would you say? Problem solver. Persuader. Service provider. Here's the thing, I'm going to help you guys think differently right now. You should have never been called salespeople in the beginning. You should have been called servants. 96% of people do not like salespeople. Now, what if I was to ask somebody, what do you think of a door-to-door salesperson? What do you think they would say?
Porch buyer.
Right? So that's the way that they think. You see, 99% of people cannot do what we do because 99% of people can't handle the rejection. We're the only creature that faces rejection on a day-to-day basis. Well, let me tell you something. Rejection turns me on. I love hostile people. You see, it's the way that you think will create words that come out of your mouth. Those words will create an emotion. The emotion creates a feeling. The feeling creates a judgment. And the judgment is creating the decision, otherwise known as closing. Closing broken down to the ridiculous, all I'm doing is I'm creating the decision. I'm an assistant buyer that takes their hand and leads them through the process. So how would you define a salesperson? But here's the number one thing that salespeople are not willing to do, okay? The willingness to actually pay the price. My question to you is, if I was a doctor, could I go to college and graduate and start making $300,000-$400,000 a year? Could I, right out of college? What would I have to do? I'd have to go be an intern for somebody. You see, the doctors, the lawyers, the dentists, they spend time, energy. They put dedicated sacrifice into their profession. The number one thing that sales professionals are willing, they do not have the willingness to actually pay the price with these four things: your effort, your learning, your time investment, and your dedicated sacrifice. Here's what I want you to think about right now. If you added up all the doctors, dentists, lawyers, all the practicing professionals, and you put them up against the salesperson out-earns all of them. There's athletes that spend decades in the gym and they're not guaranteed anything. Well, I want to let you guys know, you have your professional contract sitting right in front of you right now. You can put your last name on your back and say, hey, I'm worth $500,000-$600,000 this year, and I'm going to go out and prove it. You see, when I was 18 years old, I heard on the radio, decisions would decide my wealth. Decisions will decide your wealth. You see, when I was 18, my parents got divorced. I was a golf caddy. Did anybody ever golf caddy here? So I was a golf caddy. I used to carry 2 golf bags around the loop, and then I put my name back on the list, and I carried 2 more golf bags. Because I always saw my dad struggle. He got down to his last $20 every week. Starting from the bottom is not a deficit. That's the gift, right? A lot of us didn't have silver spoons in our mouth. We understand that our decisions along the way will decide that wealth. I was a golf caddy. Got into door-to-door sales when I was 18. I used to skip my last class of high school. And I'd be like, damn, I earned more than my principal already, and it's not even 2 o'clock. But the thing is I've never worked a day in my life with this. Like I said, I'm just a professional trick-or-treater, right? You're serving people. People get upset at me, that's not on me, right? That's on them. I'm not taking that energy with me. And what I want to break down is the absolute ridiculous for you guys today of how we become that practicing professional. Something that I like to refer to as the success triangle. So the first part of the success triangle is your technique, which is the words that come out of your mouth. If your tactics are sound, they can't fight you. Second thing is your attitude. Something that you have to program, and reprogram constantly. It's the way that you think is the way that you are going to actually achieve. It's goal setting that doesn't matter. It's the achievement of it that matters. It's having an absolute certainty on your mission, why you're going to do it. Has anybody heard of the phrase, like, what's your why? I think that's a stupid question. I think the question should be, who's your who? It's not why you're doing it, it's who you're doing it for. Because there's a lot of sacrifice involved with this game. There's a lot of sacrifice involved with this game, but temporary imbalance is really how you guys are going to get ahead. And the third is the behavior. What you do occasionally will change nothing every single time. When you have the momentum flowing, right, you're not working. And it's just like professional trick-or-treating. Like, when I did 114 roofs over an 11-day period, I was playing a game the entire time. I visualized what I wanted to do, and I verbalized it. And I'm going to explain to you exactly how I, accomplished that feat. So the technique, the attitude, and the behavior are going to be the 3 parts of the success triangle. So when we talk about technique, like I mentioned, it's going to be the words that come out of your mouth, and going back to if your tactics are sound, they can't fight you. Your attitude. Sales is the complete opposite, blending 2 things. If I was to ask you what sales is, what would you say? What is sales? What is a salesman? Convincing somebody to buy a product or service. You see, a salesman is first off a man that can sell himself to himself, or a woman that can sell herself to themselves. They have an absolute catching belief about themselves, their product, and their service, and their company. Well, this is going to break it down to the absolute ridiculous, and this is not something you're going to find in a book. This is something that I'm going to explain to you is what sales is broken down to the ridiculous. It's communication and persuasion. Communication is not what I say. It's not how I say it. It's how I can make them feel. Persuasion, people think is a bad thing. Persuasion is asking the right questions so you can solve these families' problems. You see, these are two opposites, but when we can blend them all together, that's how we create the decision, otherwise known as closing. The only objection you face in sales, it starts with a T, it's up there. What is that? It's the only objection that you face as a sales professional is trust. It's like having a cell phone with no service. All you can really do is play games. I'm not here to play games, sir, so level with me. How much of what I said do you actually believe? Understanding reflexes. Okay, we're going to be going over a lot of one-liners, a lot of specific lines that I use on the doors. Somebody name their favorite boxer. Mike Tyson. Does Mike Tyson need to think before he throws a punch or gets punched at? What does he has? He has a professional R. What is it called? Reflex. It's the same way in sales. You have to have those professional reflexes. Right? People react to the range of my voice, the volume, the pace, and the diction, even when they don't understand the words. Oh, he looks the part. He sounds the part. Oh, he's showing me. People learn by hearing, reading, writing, and saying, not just hearing you. You see, the salesman talks a lot. Sometimes you have to use these right here. Listening, asking the right questions to solve their issues. But if they trust you, does that necessarily mean that they're going to do business with you? If they fully trust you, does that mean they're going to do business with you?
No.
You also have to earn their respect. Okay, is this making sense to you guys? Because if they don't respect you, they don't know that perception is such an important part of being a sales professional. If there's a problem, are you going to be the one that picks up your phone? Are you going to be the one that handles their problems? So you earn the communication, the persuasion, the trust, the respect, aggressive plus kind, assertive plus nice, and ego plus humble. Okay? Now, a lot of people might say, oh, ego is a really bad thing. You see, I'm combining the opposites and I'm blending them together. There's two different types of ego. There's ego drive and ego destruct. Okay, like I said, a salesman is first off somebody that can sell themselves to themselves. They have an absolute catching belief about their product, their service, and how the day is going to go. But what happens is ego drive is when you're pumping yourself up, hey, I'm the best salesman in the world. And ego destruct is when somebody's bringing you down. From this point forward, I will tell you to stop focusing on what you're doing wrong. Okay? Stop focusing on what you're doing wrong and start focusing on what you're doing right. If you're analyzing every single time, hey, these are all the things that I do bad, right, you're going to push yourself into despair. But if you're in a position where you're like, you know, hey, I'm doing good. This is what I'm doing. I took 4 guys out on the doors with me. I'm like, watch this, dude. I'm going to get the first sale. Guaranteed this person was already talking about it. This would be absolutely ridiculous. They were talking about it last night. The wife was cooking dinner, and the husband was pissed about the electric bill, and they were arguing about it. And the kid's shadowing me. He's like, how does he know this? I'm like, don't worry about it, because I'm selling myself before anything. I knock on the door. I go through a perfect presentation, absolute perfect. I hit everything that I needed to, and the guy goes, this is a gated community, and he slams the door in my face. I walk off. I'm like, dude, that was nasty. Perfect presentation. If we can rip like that all day, we're going to crush. Second door, perfect presentation. Slams the door in my face. Well, guess what? Rejection turns me on. I love hostile people. Right? Dude, you know what? I'm going to give theirs to their neighbor. 4 people get pissed at me. This is a gated community. And then we go back to back to back to back sales, 4 in a row. But if I was sitting there hanging my head like this is a bad area, what's going to happen? Oh, they've already been talked to. They're not interested in roofing. The communication you have with yourself is so important. The first level of leadership is you have to be able to lead yourself. So a salesman is first off a man that can sell himself to himself. 2 different areas, right? Why would any practicing professional spend so much money on a reception area? Why would a practicing professional put a nice aquarium in the reception area? What does it do to the patient if you walked into a dentist and it was very nice in the reception area? Impression. It's impression. It builds belief. It builds the belief that you need. This is the same thing as a salesman. If I start kicking over the furniture in my reception area at 3 p.m. and then I have a perfectly good look, when is a sales professional more contagious than any other time? When would you be more contagious in selling than any other time? Right after you get a sale. Right? You're more contagious at that point. So when you're focusing on what you're doing wrong throughout the entire day, we're talking about the head game right here, and what you think throughout the day, what you're doing is you're messing up your furniture throughout the day. And that's why a practicing professional spends so much on a reception area. The salesman's reception area is his brain. Okay, and then this is a game. How many of you guys have ever heard of Tom Hopkins? Tom Hopkins, he wrote the book, How to Master the Art of Selling. You guys should all write that down. It's the Bible of sales. Download it on your phone. Listen to it. How to Master the Art of Selling. This guy's trained 10 million people over 5 different continents. The reason I resonate with Tom Hopkins so much is because he teaches the how-tos behind selling. It's not just the motivation, but it's the one-liners. It's how to handle an introduction, what an intent statement is, an instant reverse close, a secondary question close. You know, all these different techniques that you can add to your game. So when I was 23, I was interviewed by a gentleman named Grant Cardone on a show called Power Players. And I'm sitting there like, holy crap, Grant Cardone's calling me. This was back like 12 years ago. And Tom Hopkins had saw that video and called me and he said, Taylor, I want you to come stay with me at my home and present in Los Angeles at my sales seminar. This is when I was 24, like over a decade ago. And I'm a 24-year-old kid and I walk in, we go to a restaurant and I said, Tom, what would be the best 3 pieces of advice you would give to a young 24-year-old? And this is going to change your life because this is stuff that really I've thought differently ever since I've heard this information. The first thing that he told me was he said, do what you fear most. Get comfortable getting uncomfortable. Sometimes, you know, to make plays, you got to GOYA, get off your anatomy. You have to put yourself into those positions. Number 1, do what you fear most. Number 2, huge one-liner that I say to myself almost on a day-to-day basis. Are you doing the most productive thing possible at every given moment? So you have to do the most productive thing possible at every given moment. And that's the question that I ask myself. Taylor, is this the most productive task at this given moment? Yes or no? If it isn't, okay, it's time to pivot. You guys know what a strobe light is, right? Strobe light blinks on and off, on and off, on and off. What about a laser beam? What does a laser beam do? Precise, right? Another question I ask myself, am I the strobe light or am I the laser beam? The strobe light checks in, gets 40% of a task accomplished, and then gets 30% of this and 40% of this, and then they finish and nothing is completed. It's like cleaning your room and moving something from one area to the other area. So do what you fear most. Are you doing the most productive task at every given moment? Am I the strobe light or am I the laser beam? And this last piece of advice is probably the best piece of advice I could ever give you guys. So I take it if most of you haven't heard of Tom Hopkins, you probably haven't heard of J. Douglas Edwards, and you should write that down, J. Douglas Edwards. J. Douglas Edwards was known as the father of modern-day selling. He's the best. You can listen to his audios today from the 1940s and 50s, and they're better than any sales training that's out today. So Mr. Edwards used to travel by coach bus, and he did 55 seminars in 60 days, and Tom was always a front row guy. You can usually find the top people right here in the front row. This time, Tom was in the back of the room. Mr. Edwards is up there absolutely ripping on stage, and he uses a lot of energy, right? One thing I like about J. Douglas Edwards was when he comes up with a nasty line, he used to call it, he's like, this one is murder. And he would go into the line. But Mr. Edwards is up there presenting, he's absolutely ripping, and he falls down and passes out on the stage. The ambulance comes in, they grab a stretcher. Mr. Hopkins grabs a taxi. He said, follow that ambulance. Follows the ambulance, is waiting. Mr. Edwards is taken to the hospital. He's waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting. He finally goes into the room. And he said, Mr. Edwards, I have one question for you. He said, why do you give so much? And Mr. Edwards' response to Tom when he told me this was something that I'll carry for the rest of my life. He said, the reason I give so much is because I want to give people way more than they expect. If you can take that philosophy, not just with business and the families that you serve, but just in general, right? That's really what's going to help you get to that next step. Always giving people way more than they expect. You see, Tom taught me this game right here, and I want to play it with you guys. Okay, it's called the Zip Zip game. How many of you guys have a 4-digit code on your cell phone? Okay, same thing, right? He taught me this game. He said, whenever somebody's negative around you, just go like this. Zip, zip, zip. I am now in my positive shell. Okay? So I want to play the game together. It goes like this. Zip, zip, zip. I am now in my positive shell. Okay, so I need you guys to play with me. Come on. Come on. Get the zipper ready. Get the zipper ready. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Zip, zip, zip. I am now in my positive shell. Okay, if you do that to your spouse, you did not learn it from me, though. But it's pretty funny when you're around negative people and you got to do it, right? Because I've got to be able to protect that energy. And the third thing is the behavior. Everything you are doing off of the doors should be to get you into the groove when you're on the doors. Like I mentioned, what you do occasionally will change nothing every single time. The reason that I was able to get to the top at all the companies that I ever worked for was I had an absolute certainty on winning. First thing is I had an absolute certainty on winning. I understood losing was not an option. And I cut out all of my distractions. I was completely myopic. Because the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. But so many times we're distracted by all these things that will hold us back. How many of you have ever listened to the audio or read the book Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill? Okay, another one, you guys should all write that down. So 95% of people are non-achievers. Only 5% of people actually achieve the goals that they set. So in this audio book, Outwitting the Devil, he's having an interview with the devil so he understands what he's doing. And what he says was he occupies 96% of people's minds with blank space, with making the wrong decision. You see, there's 3 specific individuals that you each need to find. It's another nugget. One person that you're chasing or one person that you want to be like, one person you want to emulate, one person you're competing with, and then one person you're training. If you can identify those 3 levels of, hey, I want to be, like that position in Zach. I want to eventually have my own team. I want to be able to have this. Hey, that person you're competing with, like your toughest competition. For me, my toughest competitor is the devil. I compete with the devil every single day. But that might be an individual, like, hey, me and Billy go head to head. He's my tough competition. And then one person you're training. How many of you guys have ever taken a brand new person out on the doors with you? Did you sell better or worse? Better. Why does everyone always say better? Why is that?
Putting more effort, maybe.
Putting more effort, but what did you do before on the car ride out there? You're selling them on the job, right? You're affirming, you're self-talking yourself. So that's another trick that I have, is I self-talk myself. I might be a little weird, but I talk to myself in the third person all the time on the doors. Come on, Taylor. Come on, Taylor. This would be ridiculous for them not to do it. They've already been talking about it. I get into these crazy stories in my mind, and then all I do is I teleport that energy. That's it. I teleport the thoughts, emotion, feelings, which leads to a judgment and which ultimately leads to a decision. So everything you're doing off of the doors should be to get you into the groove when you're on the doors. Clarity creates conviction. A lot of you guys have made to-do lists. I'd probably start writing not to-do lists, because you each know that what your kryptonite is that's holding you back from getting to the next level. So this is a formula. In high school, I had a 1.8 GPA because I'd learned about protons and neutrons in the periodic table. I'm like, dude, I'm never going to need this in my life, right? So I copy off the kid next to me, and that's how I got through high school. But for me, breaking things down to the ridiculous is how the light bulb goes off in my mind. The clarity with your process will create the conviction. The conviction will create the belief. The belief creates the energy creates repetition, the repetition creates service, and the service creates your life's work creates freedom. Break it down to the absolute ridiculous. It starts with the clarity that you have, which will create the conviction. People are more persuaded by emotions than logic. They back it up with logic, but they have to defend the decision. You have to create that emotion within that process. So this is a formula to say, hey, how can I create the clarity which will create the conviction to actually create the freedom that I want within my life? Okay, so you guys each have a worksheet. We're going to go through this worksheet together, and we're going to go through it pretty fast. The reason why I want to go through it pretty fast is because I still have a lot of information that I want to share with you guys, and if we have time for a Q&A at the end, I want to be able to go through that. So what we're going to learn today is the ABCs of a successful career in selling. The reason that I have a printout for all of you guys is because I want you to laminate this and put it up on your mirror so you're looking at it every single day. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill in each one of these. Your A is going to stand for attitude. Okay? Attitude begins with being able to handle failure and rejection. Like I mentioned, rejection turns me on. I love hostile people. You know, the things that I think about throughout the day are really going to create what's going to happen. So attitude begins with the ability to handle failure and rejection. B stands for balance. It's total fulfillment in all areas: financial, emotional, physical, and spiritual. You have to have balance, but sometimes temporary imbalance is how you're going to get ahead. C stands for confidence. Act it and you become it. First comes the action, then comes the motivation. First you move, then you have the power. You visualize what you want to accomplish and you verbalize that. D stands for discipline. Read this one. Really read this one. Desire without discipline leads to disappointment, disillusionment, and depression. Desire. What is your deep down desire? Towards the end, I'm going to share with you guys the 6 Ds of scaling your business. But if you don't have that burning, ardent desire on what you're doing, why you're doing it, and who you're doing it for, it's going to fade out. We have these things called motivators and demotivators. What do you guys think is the biggest motivators of all? No. It's one of them, but just very low-end motivator. Time? Okay. So I'm going to give you a little formula. I'd write this one down. The 2 greatest motivators are challenge and comfort. You want to reach that next level of comfort in your life, and you want to have that challenge. That's a motivator. When you get called out, somebody's about to go into a fight, that's a challenge, right? The challenge and the comfort being the 2 greatest motivators. The 2 greatest demotivators is boredom and burnout. You see, if I get way too challenged, I'm going to eventually become burnt out. If I get way too comfortable, I'm going to eventually become bored. There's other motivators like money, achievement, self-acceptance, self-recognition. Demotivators, self-doubt. A lot of people are suffering from self-doubt while others are intimidated by your full potential. That's a bar right there. A lot of people are suffering from self-doubt and constantly questioning themselves, while the other people around you are intimidated by your full potential of what you can accomplish. E stands for enthusiasm. Like I mentioned at the beginning, enthusiasm is 51% of the sales process. Enthusiasm, the way I look at it, is the spirit that I have within. IASM, I am sold myself. F stands for flexible. Anything is feasible if you are always flexible. It'll be like a chameleon in the field. I don't know what's going to happen. Would you guys agree with this statement? A salesman can reach his highest highs or his lowest lows in a 24-hour period? Okay. When I was 18, I heard you have to maintain an even keel. Don't allow the highs to get too high and don't let the lows get too low. How many of you guys have ever made an emotional decision where you made a decision because your highs were too high or your lows were too low? Okay, for everyone that's not raising your hand, just let me know the secret there. But I was passing a church when I was selling alarm systems in Flint, Michigan, and the church had a banner outside and it had a statement. And this statement is something that I always go back to. Another one you want to write down. He who angers you controls you. He who angers you controls you. That's why if somebody's about to get upset at me, I just say, hey, thank you so much for treating me like a human being. God bless you. Everyone's been super friendly to me today, right? I'm not sitting there like, oh, another person was mean to me. He who angers you controls you. G stands for goals, okay? Short-term and long-term must be believable and worth committing to. You should have two different types of goals. You should have short-term and long-term. Your short-term goals can be no longer than 90 days, and then your long-term goals should be looked at like your life's blueprint. Why is it that the average person spends more time planning out their 2-week vacation to Hawaii with every restaurant, every beach they're going to go to the exact detail, but they can't even write down their life's blueprint and the things that they want to accomplish in their life? Guys, we got one go at this. Just made a $5,000 commission. No, you do that out of a goodwill. You do that because you genuinely want to help people. What you do get paid for is the rejection. That rejection needs to turn you on. That rejection needs to be something that you love. I had one woman that I knocked on her door and she told me no like 14 times, and right before she shut her door, I said, Miss, just to verify, you want to opt out of this program and continue paying the utility company or continue with this, just so I know, right? And she's like, yes, I don't want to do it. And I said, yes! I just earned $800. Thank you so much. So you said no, right? She's like, what? I was like, no, miss. Like, usually only like 3 or 4 people tell me no per day. And every time that I can actually opt you out of the program, that's how I get paid. When somebody says yes, I do this out of a goodwill. I do that out of because I want to help people. It's a mindset shift. It's the way that you think when you sell. X stands for extra. Find more creative ways to give thanks and recognition to your company's client. Extra. Y stands for why wait. Like I said, procrastination. You're ruining your future. You're avoiding the present. You're living in the past. And then Z, zero in with zeal. You want to zero in with zeal. Stay focused, keep yourself in the positive shell, and unleash the champion within you. Okay, so I want to go through this as a cadence. Like we used to say our ABCs when we were kids. I want to start with A, and we got to try to rip it completely synchronized. So on 3, we're going to go through each one. We're going to start with attitude, and we're going to go all the way down to Z. 1, 2, 3. Attitude, belief, confidence, discipline, enthusiasm, flexible, goals, health, integrity, just for today, knowledge, laughter, mentor, network, organized, relationships, success, time planning, understanding, vocabulary, work, extra, why wait, zero in. Okay, so it's up to you guys. Keep in mind, like I said, I'm exposing you this information. It's up to you to go to Staples and laminate this piece of paper. It's up to you to get a piece of tape and put it up on your mirror in the wall and constantly look at these things that create the sales professional. Okay? So the next part of the training on what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you the most important lessons I learned in my 17 years. So if you flip the paper around to take notes, definitely you want to write some of these down because these are my greatest accomplishments in door-to-door sales. Was the 114 roofs in the 11 days, 74 solar sales in 30 days while traveling across US and Canada, while I had 3-4 people behind me with a camera, and then 45 alarm systems in 6 days. Tom Hopkins said the next level of teaching sales is performing sales. That's why I take a camera in the house with me. That's why I take a camera on the doors. If you guys don't follow me on YouTube, it's just my name, Taylor McCarthy. And, you know, I'm in the field with the camera to show the actual how-tos, not just sit here and talk to you about a theory. Because there's so many sales trainers that will teach you a theory, but they've never actually been out there in the field and produced sales themselves. So they really don't know until they actually do it. And it's a plague, to be honest. Like to be blunt, I should say. That's another nasty word you shouldn't say is to be honest. Like, honestly, miss, just say to be blunt, okay? Completely replace that nasty word. So this is it. Number 1, do business with people you want to do life with. People don't quit companies, they quit leadership. Very simple. Do business with the people that you want to do life with. You are going to forget how much money you made in a year, but you aren't going to forget the people that you did it with and the memories that you have. Eventually, when I'm in my 80s, I want to be sitting there, you know, in my rocking chair with all my buddies around me, smoking a cigar or whatever, and being like, hey, you remember those times when this, and this happened? So do business with people you want to do life with. Number 2, you have to be aligned. The 3 most important things for me in any sort of business relationship is trust, loyalty, and longevity. Loyalty is rare, and longevity is something you want. You want to be the guy that works at 6 different companies at 6 years. You want to be able to dig your feet in, be surrounded around your boys or girls or people that you want to do life with, and go to work. I was listening to a reel today. Tom Brady said, there was 2 things that allowed us to be the greatest team. He said, number 1, we cared about each other. And number 2, we cared about winning. Losing is not an option. I see too many cultures that are based on, hey, we hang out and we got pizza every Friday night and we play video games and we do this and this. The culture should be based on excellence. The culture should be based on, Lifetime Roofing being the silverback gorilla and that you guys represent the best company. You guys have an opportunity of a lifetime is just put your last name on your back and say, hey, I'm going to go out and take this. Question for you. I do not want you to raise your hand unless you have a specific moment that comes to your mind. I want you to think, anybody that's played sports in here that can specifically remember the biggest game of their life. Tell me about it.
College football, man. I had a game where I had my own 3 and out. It was fucking awesome, man. I got hands in the face of a lineman, got a 15-yard penalty, and then
What was your level of focus when you were running onto the field?
I was in the zone. I was there.
You're in the zone. You weren't thinking about your science project. You weren't thinking about the girl you met last week. You were just completely dialed in, right? In the zone is what he said right there. Right? It's like, who likes soccer in here? Anybody like soccer? All right. What country are you from? Who's international? Anybody just give me a country. What country are you from? Mexico. Hypothetically, what position do you play in soccer? Center mid. So if they told you, they're like, dude, we need you. Mexico's about to play in a World Cup qualifying game, and you were going onto the field, what would be your level of focus? How much would you care about that moment? That's the level of focus that you need to have with selling. Like I said, you have a professional contract sitting right in front of you. Make those decisions that will decide your wealth. Trust, loyalty, longevity. Number 3, first comes the action, then comes the motivation. It's a lot easier to act and then decide to feel than to wait to feel like doing something and then deciding to act. First you move, then you have the power. Number 4, visualize for the inspiration, verbalizing things for the execution. Muhammad Ali said, I'm humble at home, but I'm not humble in the ring because humble people rarely go places. Conor McGregor said the same thing. He's like, most people are too scared to actually say what they're going to do. But there's been times where I've tied myself down by saying I was going to do something, and then maybe the next day I didn't feel like doing it, but because I already verbalized it, I knew I needed to do it. Instagram stories, getting with your significant other. Tom Hopkins said a big aha moment for me last year. He said, if you can get together with your significant other and sit them down and say, hey, I want to have a real serious conversation with you, and you let them know, hey, this is the year you're going to make it. This is the year we're going to make it. This is the year I'm setting us up for the next 20 decades. This is the next 10, 20 years. This is what I'm setting ourselves up for our kids' kids. J. Douglas Edwards says the number 1 reason for mediocrity in sales professionals is their spouse. It's not being on the same page with their spouse. So there's a lot of sacrifice that's involved with what we do. Getting home at 10 p.m., going to meetings at 10 a.m. So incentivizing others like your wife, your brother, your sister, whoever that support system is, and including those others with you on the journey. Number 5, play the game, have fun, and eyes on the scoreboard. If you're not having fun, it isn't even worth it. If you pay attention to the scoreboard will pay attention to you. If you don't pay attention to the scoreboard's not going to pay attention to you. This was 2011. You can see some pretty notable names on there. But at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. There's a big difference between the number 1 guy and the number 7 guy. And it comes down to how polished they are. How much dedicated sacrifice they have. Like we talked about at the beginning, the practicing professional has that willingness to actually pay the price. Including your family on the journey. This is my dad and this is my wife. My dad has always had health conditions. But that's how I was able to beat everybody. Because I wanted to make my dad proud. We come from nothing, right? I'm a McCarthy from Boston. Parents got divorced. We had a 1-bedroom apartment. I lived in the living room, right? But guess what? My goal is to make my dad proud. When I was 18, I bought him an HD TV, and I was on the front page of a newsletter when I was selling Verizon Fios. Well, 2 years ago, I bought him his own house. It's a lot cooler than buying my dad an HD TV. And you work towards this continuous journey. Like I said, you get better or worse throughout that process. Number 7, temporary imbalance is really how you get ahead. Sometimes it's a small amount of sacrifice that is involved to get there, but next to the word success should be sacrifice. Number 8 is research and development. I'm constantly playing chess. I'm never playing checkers. I'm always thinking 2 moves ahead. Communication is what keeps the vision a reality. Communication with yourself, communication with others is what keeps that vision the reality. And number 10, vulnerability. Vulnerability is the birthplace to innovation. Every single one of us knows what the kryptonite that we have is that's holding us back. And like I mentioned, a lot of you guys have made to-do lists on things you need to accomplish. A lot of people actually have to make not to-do lists. And hey, these are the things that are holding me back from being at the top. Because when you're at the top of the game, you're number 1 in the whole company. That's a game that brings an adrenaline rush like no other. So what is closing? Closing, broken down to the ridiculous, is creating the decision. It's a symphony of words that culminates in a final win-win decision. Closing is creating the actual decision. But no single close will ever give you a close. People will buy emotionally and they defend the decision with logic. So when you get them to say yes 47 times before you go into the paperwork, there's no resistance because you've already gotten those minor agreements or those trial closes throughout the process. So how do we create the emotional climate? This is the exact steps of what I focus on for my framework when I'm on the door. And it's broken down to the ridiculous. First thing is affirmation. Dude, this is a deal. They're already talking about it. Their roof's ridiculous. There's no way. These people are going to have a leak in 2 weeks. I had to help them. Right? Who you are. Oh, hi, sir. How are you? My name is Taylor McCarthy. Actually, the reason I'm calling by is like a little bit different. I'll pretty much cut to the chase. I'll give you the short version. Right? Getting it out quick. I got 2 strikes against me when I knock on the door. I don't know if you know is the next place I go. So after I put something in their hands, I say, I don't know if you knew about what happened. It is serious. We're not trying to come down on anybody. However, it is important. Maybe it's a storm date. Maybe it's a certain situation that happened. Maybe it's, hey, I don't know if you guys have noticed everybody putting up the brand new roofs. They did not win the lottery. They did not take money out of their checking account. What happened was we actually proved that there was legitimate damage on their roof, and the only thing they were responsible for was their deductible, and their insurance came out and completely replaced the roof. Tell a story. The better my story is, the more pain that I can create. If I don't create enough pain, there will never be a change. How many of you guys have ever walked with a pebble in your shoe? Right? And you just keep walking with it because you're like, dude, I'm not untying my shoes. It's kind of annoying, but like it's not that big of a deal. That's what's happening when you knock on people's doors. They all have a pebble in their shoe. But I have a question. If that pebble was a little shard of glass, would you keep walking? No. So your goal is to turn the pebble in their shoe into a glass shard. If there is no pain, there will never ever be a change. And I like to refer to a lot of other people. So Judy, she was a little dramatic, but what she told me was she knew that there was damage up there, and she said that if the insurance company came and knocked on her door and said, hey, you have damage from the last storm, we're going to completely replace the entire roof, and the only thing you're responsible for is the deductible. I mean, she was pretty smart about it, but if that situation were to happen to you, what would you say? Right? I'm using a lot of hypothetical questions, a lot of situational selling, but that's what I need to do because there's one powerful technique that's more powerful than anything else. And I'm going to show you that here, but these are the 5 biggest fundamentals. How many of you guys are brand new in roofing or in sales in general? Okay. You got to write this one down. These are the 5 most important things that you should focus on. Number 1 is clarity. Like I said, clarity creates the conviction. These are the 5 most important things I do when I sell on the door. Number 2 is repetition. They need to hear, read, write, and say something 6 times to gain 62% of that retention. Number 3 is energy. The people with the most energy make the most money. Enthusiasm is 51% of my sale. Repeating myself enough so it's clear. Do I have energy? Do I believe? And am I trying to service somebody? Range, volume, pace, and diction is how people will react. Now there's one technique that is more powerful than any other selling technique. What do you guys think that is? When you lose this, you lose every time. There's no possibility of getting the sale if you lose this. Somebody said it. What was it? Control. The number 1 most powerful technique in selling is control. You see, there's an art form with control, though, because I have control the entire time, but I make it feel as if they have control by asking the right questions, asking a lot of loaded questions. I ask a loaded question that I already know their answer to, and then they answer it the way I said it, and now they said it, I didn't say it. If I say it, they tend to doubt it. If they say it, then it's true. You have to take the command position. When you don't, you're losing. You control the presentation to a predetermined decision. When you master these control devices, you will command the attention of the sale, the involvement, the flow of the presentation, the potential rejection, and the actual emotion, which will culminate in a final win-win, and you will find the excuse for them to say yes. They're going to find every excuse to tell me no. I have to find the excuse for them to say yes. Okay, the culmination of an effective sales process. I want to see if you guys can answer these questions. The first thing we need to do is develop the right A. Attitude. Once we develop the right attitude and the E, which I said was 51% of the sale. Enthusiasm, good. Then we want to establish R. What do we establish with the families we serve? Rapport, relationships, good. And we do that by giving a sincere C. When we give rapport, we give them a compliment. Okay. You see, when I'm explaining you this, when I'm selling, when I talked about what sales is, communication and persuasion, all I'm doing is I'm weaving the entire time. This is me when I'm selling. Communication, persuasion, talking to them about the Cleveland Browns for 5 minutes, and then like I said, the damage is, pretty substantial. What we'll do is we'll meet with the adjuster, blah, blah, blah. Oh, cool, did you watch the game? I'm mixing in between these two things the whole time. If you're just talking about the roof the entire time, you're not going to be able to build that trust to make the decision. That's why I'm going back and forth with the communication and persuasion the whole time. Then you cover your agenda with an intent statement. You qualify with a needs formula. What this needs formula is what do they have now? What do they enjoy most about what they have now? What would they alter about their current situation? Who's the decision maker and what is the solution? Then you give your presentation. You address the concerns. You test close. You ask reflex questions. You fill out the paperwork. And you ask for the approval. So if you guys want to take a picture of that, that's the culmination of an effective sale when you're going through the process. Okay. First 30 seconds. I'm probably have about like 5 to 10 minutes for some Q&A after. But this is what I focus on. Another deal, if you want to take a picture of this, feel free. First thing I need to do is I need to create curiosity. If they are not curious, they will never be interested. I need to create that curiosity. The way I create the curiosity is I create imagery. The way I create imagery is I paint a picture in their head. Mirror and match, be indifferent. Demeanor, this is going to happen with or without you. If you want to be a part of it, great. That's why I'm here. I really don't care what you do. Like, that's my mindset. Like, this is going to happen with or without you. Cut to the chase. The reason I'm coming by is like a little bit different. I don't know if you know. We've had a ton of inquiries in this specific area. And then going back to the way that we think. The things we think will create the words, which will create the emotion. And all I'm doing is I'm teleporting that energy out of my body into theirs. This is a line that I use, get a lot of sales in roofing, is hypothetically if the insurance told you had legitimate damage and they were going to cover the cost of replacing the roof and all you were responsible for your deductible, what would you say? Like if they told you had legitimate damage, is that something that when do you think is the number one time people replace their roofs? When they have a leak or something bad happens, so how can we stay proactive about this situation? Probably one of my best lines, it's not anything glamorous, but it's, sir, if I go through this process with you, you would do it. 1,000% you would do it. Just the hardest part of my job is timing. I'm just looking for the time when we both have it to just show you the apples to apples comparison. Okay, and the last thing that I wanted to cover with you guys, and I think we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A, is the 6 Ds to actually getting the immediate results. And it starts with you having a desire. Like I said, formulas were something that I wasn't very good at, but if the formula was broken down to the ridiculous, it made it a lot easier for me. So it started off with the desire. The desire will create the discipline. The discipline will allow you to go out and demonstrate. The demonstration will allow you to document. The documentation will allow you to duplicate. And the duplication will allow you to disappear. So if I break this one down to the ridiculous, without the desire, you're never going to have the discipline. Without the discipline, you're never going to be able to go out and demonstrate. Without demonstration, you'll never be able to document it so you have a story. Nobody wants to be recruited. People want to be impressed. And to impress other people, you have to be impressive. Through documentation, you start duplicating. Through duplication, then you disappear. What do you think I mean by disappear? What do you think I mean by disappear? If you duplicated enough and then you disappeared. Going from a sales rep to an assistant manager, from an assistant manager to a manager, from a manager to a regional, from a regional to a director, from a director to a national director. And you see that you just constantly go through this circle. You go through a different desire, which creates the different type of discipline, which allows you to demonstrate, which allows you to go out and document, which ultimately allows you to disappear and move on to that next level. So I know we've covered a lot today, and I want to go into a little bit of Q&A. But I want to hear from you guys, I guess, any nuggets or something that you wrote down, maybe some takeaways that you guys have from the presentation on things that you're going to apply immediately, and then we can go into any sort of questions that you guys might have for our remaining time here together today. So any questions or any takeaways?
Currency is relationships.
Currency is relationships, definitely. Right, that one hit hard last year when I was on the road to be able to see how many people that you can affect and actually make a difference for.
I like the pebble in the shoe story. I think for a lot of new people, that's a very good imagery for them to explain this to a homeowner so they feel comfortable in the door.
Great, yeah, pebble in the shoe, turn it into a glass yard. We get paid for the nose. Rejection turns me on. I want you to say that. Rejection turns me on. Let's hear it. Let's go. All right, we had a question back here. Do we have one back here? Somebody?
I just said do what you fear the most.
Do what you fear most. Okay, money. All right, how many of you guys use sales slicks when you're in the field? How many of you guys use sales slicks while you're in the field? Like actual physical laminated things that you're handing them?
Yeah, all of us.
Okay. If I was to give you guys the ones that I use, would you guys feel like that would be beneficial? All right, so these are my slicks. At the end of the slicks is a QR code. I do not want your email. I do not want any of your information. I'm not going to harass you. It's just one QR code that once you scan it, it opens to a Google Drive and you just download the PDFs. The one thing that I will ask you is if you did get some value out of today's training, the only thing I ask is if you guys could just subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just one button. You just got to press subscribe. It's just under Taylor McCarthy. That would be greatly appreciated. So these are the slicks that I used when I was in roofing. 4 main questions. Understand there's psychology behind yes and psychology behind no. Psychology of yes starts with you. You are the product and service, the excitement and the service, Y-E-S. The psychology of no, the 2 major reasons why somebody is going to tell you no is these 2 things. Number 1, lingering questions. Number 2, inadequate explanation of benefits. So if I have the 4 main questions in front of them and I put that into their hand, I'm getting ahead of it beforehand. Hey, these are the 4 major questions. Will my insurance monthly cost increase? Will my insurance drop me? How do you guys make money? And bottom line, what's the out-of-pocket cost? Does anybody want to know the number 1 hidden objection that they don't tell you? What do you think is the number 1 objection that they don't tell you? The number 1 objection. It sounds, would you guys agree with that, right? They might not necessarily say, hey, it sounds too good to be true, but they'll sit there and it's in the back of their mind. So I'll have a one-liner where I get ahead of that one too. Bottom line, you'll fall into 1 or 2 categories. Category 1, everything that I just explained makes complete and total sense. Somebody else has already gotten involved with this program. Or category 2, it just sounds way too good to be true and you're probably sitting there like, wait a second, what's the catch? The catch is simple. What do I have of the family at that point? I have their full attention. Right? And I'm like a boxer. I'm putting them into the corner. What was the main reason that you guys got home insurance in the first place? Yeah, so obviously if you had legitimate damage and the insurance company told you that, okay, there's different types of tie downs. There's negative tie downs, there's reverse tie downs, there's tag-on tie downs. Now, you guys might be like, okay, he knows all these different closes, all these different ways to break preoccupation. I told you at the beginning, How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins should be something this entire group reads or at least listens to the audio. Second slick that I used is area references. I think that's probably another thing that isn't talked about enough. When you're knocking on somebody's door, if you have references, hey, I don't know if you know Judy and her husband Roger. He's the firefighter. They drive like the truck. They have the 2 little Huskies. They're really nice. I'm actually friends with George. I was able to help him get involved with this program. Like I said, I'll cut to the chase. And I'm putting their name, their residency, and their benefit on this slick. Third slick that I'll use, do you guys mainly do wind damage or hail damage? What's your main up here? Wind damage. All right. And there's still a lot of 3-tab roofs up here. Okay, so that's when I was selling in Florida, it was all 3-tab roofs, and I would use this. Hey, ultimately, if you've noticed, all the people that updated their roofs from the old stuff to the new stuff, they didn't win the lottery. These people realized they had legitimate damage, and the insurance company actually covered the cost to replace the roof, and the only thing they were responsible for was the deductible. Old versus new, and then just a picture of all the components of a roof. So those were the slicks that I use. If you guys want to actually take a picture of this QR code, there's actually it'll pretty much link you to a Google Drive, and then you guys will be able to use these specific slicks when you're in the field. I'll leave you with this and then kind of go into the questions. I believe we have 10 more minutes, 5 more minutes. But in 17 years of doing this, most people would have not figured out a way to make it a career and to be able to sell salesmen on selling. And I said it a few times today, but I'll tell you right now is if you're not having fun, it's not even worth it. So you need to figure out a way to make this a big game. How many of you guys played video games growing up? Right? You're pretty much the player in the video game. A lot of people think there's a lot of sacrifice that's involved with getting to the top. But if you were the player in the video game, that's like telling somebody, oh, it's imbalanced to play video games for 10 hours a day. Well, if I was playing the video game in the field, it's not imbalanced. The only way it would feel like imbalanced to me is if I wasn't playing the game and I was sitting on the sidelines. So I hope you guys got some nuggets from the presentation today. I'm going to be hanging out most of the day today, so I'm going to be coming to the event later. Like I said, currency is relationships. I didn't come up here just to teach you guys. I came here to get to know you guys and, be able to make as much of an impact on my fellow door-to-door sales professionals, because a lot of people look at us like the underdogs. We're not the underdogs, right? We're the best salesmen in the world. Not too many people can do door-to-door. So I commend all of you guys. I thank you guys for having me here today. And we can open it up to questions for like the next 5 minutes if you guys have any questions for me.
I'd love for you to run through that quick presentation that you had again for the inclusive atmosphere for, I forget what you said. Sorry.
Okay, so like when I'm knocking on the door? Okay, so first thing I'm having is I'm having the house pulled up on the map. So this is the first thing I'm going to take you through. You want to come up here? All right, let's go. All right, so wind damage. So I use an app called Knock Buddy where I pull up the actual house before I would even knock it. So I'm going to have his house pulled up. It's not Sales Rabbit because what I do is I have the actual hours of where the sun is on the house. So I use this a lot in solar, but you could also use it in roofing. Okay? So let's go through this scenario. Wind damage in this area. When was the storm date? January 9th? Okay. So January 9th. So you got a 3-tab roof. Dude, this thing is absolutely smoked, bro. Dude, oh my gosh, he's absolutely getting hammered. Dude, this guy was talking about it yesterday. Dude, it's a done deal. Dude, this roof has to be like 12 years old. Like, he's been waiting for me to come talk to him. Done deal. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, hi, sir. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Hey, sorry I'm late. We did want to do about 2 more. Pretty much just cut to the chase. My name is Taylor McCarthy. Actually, the reason I was coming by is a little bit different. This is 364 River Road, correct?
Correct.
Okay, like I said, I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm just going to give you the short version. I don't know if you knew about the situation that happened on January 9th earlier this year. Were you guys living in the home at that time?
Yeah, we were, yeah.
Okay, so if you notice, like specifically like here on Bamboo Court, all the families that put up like the brand new roofs, these people did not win the lottery. It's not like they took a bunch of money out of their checking account. What we identified was January 9th being a date that had significant damage from the tiles. Actually, let me show you. So you have one of these 3-tab roofs actually, so if you can kind of see here, the first thing that I kind of noticed is a lot of these shingles are actually lifting, which was happening with these families over here. And like I said, they didn't win the lottery, but what's happening is they went through the process of having the insurance look at the roof, realizing that there was legitimate damage, and the only thing they were responsible was for their deductible. So I'm just the first step of this process. Actually, this is Billy. Billy's actually the one that actually checks the roof. So 1 or 2 things happens. He gets up there and says, no damage, and then you have the peace of mind to know everything's okay. Or second situation is he says, hey, there is legitimate damage, and then we would actually file a claim, and we would actually come out here and meet with the insurance to actually, help get you approved. It's a pretty cut and dry process. We just want to know that if we can get you approved, that we would actually do the work. How many years have you actually lived here in the house?
About 4.
4 years? Yeah. Cool, man. I noticed the Denver Broncos bumper sticker. You're not a Broncos fan, are you?
Oh, no, man. I'm a Browns fan.
You're a Browns?
That just came with the car.
Oh, gotcha. I was about to say Russell Wilson.
I got to take that off.
Definitely, because they pretty much ruined it with Russell Wilson. But do you guys think you're going to keep Flacco this year?
It'd be a great backup.
Yeah, and Watson's got to, you guys spend a lot on him too. And Nick Chubb, you guys did really good without half your players. But like I said, it's a cut and dry process. Actually, Timmy can grab his ladder. Timmy, can you go to the truck real quick and get the ladder? He's going to go up there and take a couple looks, and he can actually FaceTime me where I'm going to show you everything that's happening.
Okay.
Which insurance provider do you actually use?
Nationwide.
Nationwide. Okay. Do you know like Amy and her husband Randy? They live in the corner house. They just got like the brand new stuff on the roof.
I see them occasionally.
So they had that same insurance company. They're a little bit more difficult to deal with, but we were able to get theirs approved. And like it's not like the storm came and did like hit everybody else's house and just avoided your house. So it's more of a peace of mind thing. He'll take his ladder, he'll go check it out, and then he's just going to show us the results.
Okay, sounds
Okay, cool. And then and then I'd start filling out, like, I'd be like, okay, there's legitimate damage. Then I'd get the insurance company on the line. I'd file the claim after the claim was filed. Then I'd have them okay the forms. And then that's the way my process works. So hope that helped.
Thanks.
Cool. Just a reflex, you know? So what are some small things you just saw during my presentation? Let's kind of break that down a little bit. What were some things I was doing? Icebreaker. That's that weaving I was talking about. Communication, persuasion, going back and forth. Good.
Brought them out to the yard.
Brought them out. You saw that, right? Motion creates emotion. You know, I'm not just sitting there talking to them like, I'm putting stuff into their hand, I'm taking it, I'm walking them away. Sometimes I walk away, I don't even turn around, all right? Like they're following me or else I'm looking like an idiot, you know?
Did you notice the new stuff on their roof? You don't make it complicated. You're not using vocabulary they don't understand.
Yep. They had the old stuff, now we're putting up the new stuff. Don't overcomplicate the process, it works.
You let them know you were already familiar with your house when you put it up.
I was already have their, house. If you notice, what I did is I personalized the situation. Within the first 12 seconds, I was there for you for a specific reason, and what I did was different than every other roofer that's probably ever talked to them because I'm showing them an actual, hey, I don't know if you know about the situation that happened January 9th. If you notice my tonality, my voice inflection, 55% body language, 38% tonality, only 7% is the words that I speak. So the body language and the tonality is king.
I really like how you say, hey, I hear it, it's different, and then you're also showing them, hey, yeah, like this 30-24 you're confirming the house. Now, obviously, it's like not a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, because I'm personalizing the situation to the location.
You're also showing them that you got a roof spot in the area, the guy that got the roof spot, they didn't win the lottery.
That's a money line. Hey, these people did not win the lottery, right? They did not take a bunch of money out of their checking account, right? People are starting to put one and one together and realize that on January 9th, with the storm that happened, a lot of people had legitimate damage that just kind of like a pebble in your shoe that's turning into a glass shard.
Also, taking away some of the other questions you have to ask by, yes, they own the home, they live here for the storm date, all those things. Those would be questions that some people would just ask, maybe create an objection as well.
Do you guys see what I mean by when I say control is the most powerful technique in selling after watching that? Because you could have given me any objection you wanted, but I didn't give him a chance to object. I go through processes the entire time, and kids are like, oh, that was a lay-down sale. And I was like, yeah, dude, it was a lay-down because I set it up to be a lay-down. You go show me how to do that. Yeah, so it's just I'm creating that decision.
You made it seem urgent.
Yep.
Like, get two more in before I go home or whatever.
Exactly. Hey, notice the first thing I said, hey, sorry I'm late. We did want to do about two more. They're going to be like, who the heck is this? Hi, sir, how are you? We're doing the roofing in the neighborhood, It's a little bit different, right? This is how I dress when I go to the field, too. I don't wear any company gear with any company. I was just dressed like, a crazy, button shirt, a button-down, crazy colors. Colors affect people. I take jackets, I wrap them around my waist, right? It's nobody's intimidated by a kid with a jacket wrapped around his waist. You know what I mean? So it's everything I'm doing in the process, is for a reason, Did somebody say pattern interrupt? You want to know a fire pattern interrupt line real quick? If you're in the middle of a process and they're just not giving it to you, dude, this one is fire. I just came up with it 2 weeks ago. So in the middle of the conversation, I'll just stop and I'll say, sir, may I just have your permission to be blunt with you? I'd write that one down because it's fire. Sir, may I just have your permission to be blunt? That's a pattern interrupt to actually go into it. So if you're getting off track, you just use that line.
Are you a big believer in, sorry I missed you letters? If you knock on a house that has major damage, you just want to at least have a conversation with the homeowner, and they don't answer.
Oh.
So you're not, it's nowhere near where you live, so do you believe in leaving, sorry I missed you letter in the door too?
No, I don't do that. I don't even knock. Another thing is you guys should stop knocking doors without cars in the driveway. I'm a hunter. I'm not going door to door. I'm hunting. I only have so much time during the day. I'm in a race. I'm like literally running door to door, or I'm driving house to house to only go to the people with cars in their driveway, especially early in the day. I break down my day from 10 to 12 bonus time, 12 to 3, 3 to 6, and 6 to 9, with being the different shifts. So time for 2 more questions, and then we got to get going, and then I'll be hanging out all day for you guys. So I saw first question over here.
Yeah, so when you're on the doors and you're looking at similarities and differences between roofing and solar, like what's the biggest thing you identify?
So with solar, I just look for the home that has good sun hours. Like, you know, the app that I just showed has all the sun hours of where the actual panels would go on the roof. Obviously, trees are the biggest killer for solar. And then with roofing, I just look for old roofs. You know, that's pretty much what I do. I look for old roofs, or I look for cars in the driveway, or I look for an area that has legitimate damage, and I turn that pebble into a shoe into a glass shard.
The same system going throughout, even with the 4 biggest questions you just had us?
Well, with solar, it's 6 major questions. Roof, move, cost, service, savings, ownership. What happens to my roof? What if I move? What's the cost? Who services it? Who owns the system? Who maintains it? And then I cover all those beforehand. Question in the back? You got to speak louder. Use your voice.
It wasn't a question. I just had my hand a few times. Like,
All right.
going back to what your pitch was.
My what?
What your pitch was.
My what? Hold on. My presentation. All right, you got it. 30 push-ups if you were in my office.
What we can still do most, and probably most folks don't do, is like your priming prior knocking the door. That is extremely powerful because you make yourself a believer, and all of a sudden when you're actually having a conversation, it changes the dynamic of the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We see guys often, it's almost like making a phone call. You know the routine of making a phone call, and most people don't answer, so you just leave a voicemail, right? And there's often people that are knocking doors, they're like, I don't know that they all open the door. Because like, if you truly prime them for lead, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and when I knock too, like if I know they're home, I'm like, I knock, hello? If I'm driving up somebody's driveway, honk honk.
You've been in the industry for about 17 years. What has kept you going further with the hardship that you faced over the course of those 17 years?
So my goal is to go from a Jerry Rice to a Jerry Jones. If you guys understand that analogy, it's like going from one of the best players to going into one of the best owners. I realize door-to-door sales is not easy. God gave me a gift to be able to do this. And if I don't actually give it as much as I can to my fellow door-to-door salesmen, I'm being selfish. So that's really what my life's work has been, you know, selling door-to-door. And I'm proud of it. You know, it's something that a lot of people are like, what do you do? Oh, you sell door-to-door? Or I'm just a professional trick-or-treater. You know, I collect the king-size candy bars every day. And yeah, so we're going to break for lunch, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Like I said, I'm going to be here all day. I want to get to know you guys, and I'm genuinely thankful for having me. Thank you so much. 1 representative per team. We're missing 2. Red team, yellow, pink, blue, white, green, orange, purple.
All right. One more individual.
I don't know about this. I'm worried about that guy.
Least of our concerns, man. Orange team. All right.
Yes, sir.
We're going to have a pinch off. We're going to get it down to 2. Once we get it down to 2, you have to pitch Taylor to win the event.
I'm not going to pitch him. I'll give my presentation.
Hey.
That's round points right there.
All right. I bet everybody's wondering how many points.
That's at least 50.
1,500 points. The winner. Presentation of a lifetime. Okay. Want to do this one?
So probably what we'll do is we'll just pair people off. So whoever you're standing next to, that's who you guys will be going up against.
Perfect.
And we're gonna have to start our presentation, right? So we'll have 2 guys. You guys can start in the middle here. You'll walk around in a circle. One will give an objection, and the other person has to give a rebuttal. And then right after you're done giving a rebuttal, you have to give a objection back to the other person to start it over again. And if you stutter or stumble or anything at all, you're out. So it's, you gotta be fluid with this.
I'm
That's how
gonna
it
kick it
goes.
off, and I'm gonna pass it this direction.
Yeah, so you guys actually come to the center stage.
Let's go, BC!
And you'll pass the mic after.
You're gonna pass the mic first. I'm gonna kick it off with my presentation at the door, and then I'm gonna turn it right over to you with the microphone.
Dom, you know what you're doing? Get it?
So, back and forth. All right. I'm gonna kick it off. I'm knocking the door. Good afternoon, Blair Jensen, Lifetime Quality Roofing and Solar. Lucky for you today, I'm out here doing a free complimentary no obligation inspection of the exterior property. Thank goodness for the hailstorm that came through and the wind that came through last summer. All that work is being paid for by the insurance companies. Like I said, I'm doing a 10 to 15 minute no complimentary inspection, and when I'm done, I'm gonna knock back and let you know what I find.
Yeah, man, I've had a couple of contractors look at my work in the last couple of weeks, and they're saying I'm good to go.
Yeah, the funny thing is, you know, I know there have been a lot of contractors around here. Did they anticipate saying that you'd be paying anything out of pocket, or was it through the insurance process?
They told me I didn't have any damage that would qualify.
Yeah, you know what? We've been hearing that often. Ironically enough, I don't know if you know your neighbor over here, Mr. Smith. We did do a free inspection for him. We did find some substantial damage to the roof. We offer a free inspection.
All right, pause. All right, look, it's like.
Let's see it.
Great job, yeah, my wife's not home. I don't make any decisions without my wife. Hey, no worries about that. You know, I'm here right now, so, you know, you can just go out there and take a look at it and get it taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about your wife. When we get home, we can sit down together and talk about it at that time. Actually, you know what? I will lost. Yeah. Go ahead. So you have to throw another objection, like, I'm not interested.
Well, what are you not interested in? I haven't really offered you anything. You know, we're getting free inspections, free replacements to a lot of these people in the neighborhood, and we absolutely crush it. So I'll pop up there real quick and grab my letter, my paperwork, and get you signed up. By the way, do you think that my insurance premiums are going to go up?
All right, you guys got it?
Yeah, got it. But don't.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing is, a lot of homeowners that we interact with do have other contractors that they have in mind. I don't know how responsible your contractor is. Has he discussed with you?
And good try, man. Done. Nice try. Good try.
Good afternoon, Blair Jensen, Lifetime Quality Roofing and Solar. I'm out here today because of the hail and windstorm that came through last summer. Lucky for you, all of that work is being paid for by the insurance company. So what I'm doing here today is I'm doing a complimentary free inspection of the exterior of your property. And when I'm done, I'm going to knock back and let you know what I find. Take about 10, 15 minutes, I'll let you know.
Hey, you know, I had a couple contractors stop by last week, and they tried to service me a year ago, and they really dropped the ball, and I really don't feel comfortable with this.
Yeah, definitely, completely understanding. What did they do to drop that ball for you?
It's a question.
Yeah.
Knock it down.
Yeah, no, hey.
Try again. Knock it down. Come on.
All right, yeah, I'll just hop up there real quick, just do a free inspection. Take me about 25 minutes, go over all the pictures with you, we'll go from there. I'm not interested.
What exactly is it that you're not interested in? I haven't really offered you anything yet. You know what? You just hit my ball in the driveway. I've got to go today.
Hey, don't worry, it's another dog over here.
No, you're good. Just tell them to start.
All right, Blair Jensen, Lifetime Quality Roofing and Solar. I'm out here today because of the hailstorm and windstorm that came through last summer. Lucky for you, all of that work is being paid for by the insurance company. So what I'm doing here today is I'm offering you a free complimentary inspection. Take about 10 minutes, let you know what I find. Go.
Yeah, I've got like a $5,000 deductible, and I'm just not interested.
$5,000 deductible?
Yeah.
You know your neighbor's got a $1,000 deductible over there, so that actually means they pay more per month and per year. So you're actually paying a lot less than your other neighbors. I'm actually not interested right now. I really got to go in like 10 minutes.
That's good, man. I'll take about 5-10 minutes. I can meet you back, say about 5:30 when you guys get home from work. Yeah, man, I really gotta go. My daughter's got a doctor's appointment.
Daughter's got a doctor's appointment. That means you're in a hurry within 5 minutes. So what I can do, I've got my ladder right there. Give me just a couple minutes. I'm gonna go grab it. I will literally be down by the time you're about to leave. Fair enough. Now, I do not have time. My daughter's sick right now. The last thing I want to deal with is somebody else.
Did I get
That's the same objection.
Same objection.
That was not same wording though, was it? What do you think? What do you guys think? You're out. You're out.
You guys went over time 3 times.
I don't have any damage on the home, and I don't think I need to do an inspection today.
Oh, I completely understand. I get that a lot. Again, every year you should have the roof inspected. So I'm gonna go grab my ladder. Like I said, it's gonna take me about 15 minutes. So I'll be right back. Dude, I gotta wash my dog in like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, no, do your thing. You don't have to be present while I do the inspection. I'll take pictures for you so I can show you once I get down, and, we'll go over my assessment really quickly. I gotta leave in about 20 minutes. I gotta get to work, so I don't really have time for this.
Hey, no problem, man. My last inspection took me 10 minutes. Like I said, I'm just gonna go grab my ladder. I'll be right back. No, man, I just don't know what my gun is.
Yeah, no, so if you even have damage that qualifies you needing to call the insurance, we can ask them on the phone together, and we can make a game plan to take care of that for you. I had that hailstorm come through. I had somebody inspected. They said I didn't have any damage on the roof.
Hey, you know what? I get that a lot too. Luckily, we're the number 1 residential roofing company in Ohio, and this is what I specialize in. So.
I never think about the objection. Good job. That was good. Sorry.
Nice try, Eli. Okay.
I never think about my objection.
I'll knock back and let you know what I find. Go.
Yeah, I'm a man. My landlord, Blair Jensen, he's a real asshole. He's not gonna go for this.
Blair Jensen, I've worked with another client of his just down the road because he owns a couple of properties. So I'll tell you what, man, I'll give him a call real quick. We'll just get up a complimentary inspection. I didn't realize this was his. Hey, I'll tell you what, man, I switched insurance right after the storm date, so I don't think they're gonna take care of it.
You know what? That is amazing. Do you remember who that carrier was? Because whoever was covering your home during the storm, that's who's responsible for it. Oh, fuck.
Two.
15, 20 minutes, I'll knock back and let you know what I find. Go.
Man, I like living at my own roof. I don't really want another guy getting up on my roof.
No, that's fair, but what you're probably looking for is a hole in the roof, whereas with the proprietary knowledge that we have, we know what the insurance is looking for, and what they're looking for is what they pay for. Now, I'm worried about getting dropped for my insurance because I made a claim on the basement, so.
A lot of people think about that. Well, actually, with insurance carriers, they don't actually hurt you for filing a claim for winter hail. It's actually considered a
We're down to 2. Let's give it up for these guys. Now, remember the rules. You have to fix Taylor.
Present. All right, you guys have a winner. So, rock, paper, scissors, shoot to see who goes first.
I'll go first.
All right. All right.
All right. Clock.
All right.
Starts now.
Hey, what's up, man? Can I help you?
Hey, no, actually, I'm really hoping I can help you today. So I know I look like a salesman. I'm not here to sell you anything at all. We've been working with a lot of the neighbors in the area because there is just a ton of storm damage throughout this neighborhood. Now, I'm not here to say that you have storm damage, but the reason I'm here is because I want to offer you a free inspection so we can take a look at the property and make sure that...
We had like 10 people come by like during the storm, and like there's no sort of damage up there, so we just told... Actually, one guy looked at it and he said there wasn't enough damage.
Just one guy?
There was like 1 or 2, but you guys come by all the time, bro. Like we're not...
Absolutely. That's totally understandable, but that shows me that you care about your home because you let somebody inspect it. Now, before they inspected it, did you do research on that team at all?
They just came to our door, so we had them take a look. We got a bunch of pictures inside. It's just we didn't end up doing anything.
It's the same thing I'm doing, except the one thing that separates Lifetime Quality from the rest of the industry is the training that we put into our teams and the proprietary knowledge that we are constantly expanding on.
Okay.
Your insurance, They're in it to make money. They're not gonna pay for it unless they have a reason to pay for it. My job is to show you if that reason.
So I got to get going, man. Can you just get to the point, like, or leave me with a business card or something?
Yeah, well, the point is, how's the roof look? So give me about 10 minutes. Let me climb up there. I'll take a ton of photos for you. So if I tell you there is damage, I'm not just speaking to you about it. I'm going to show you that damage, what it is, what it means, and then we'll show you how we can get it covered by the carrier, and we'll get that ball rolling for you.
Okay, so how do you guys make money?
I get paid by the insurance paying you. So, I'm not going to tell you to go through this process if I know I'm not going to get paid from it, because I'm going to waste my time, I'm going to waste your time, and I'm going to waste your carrier's time, and that's not what I want from this. I want happy customers who are going to refer me to their friends and family.
So how do you guys make money?
That we get paid by the carrier. They make sure to pay for the replacement and the profits, so it's not something that you have to pay for. The only responsibility you have.
Yeah, I'm just scared about filing a claim. I don't know if that's a good idea for
No, that's a reasonable thing.
All right, good. Everyone give it up for him. Solid performance, solid performance.
Ready?
Ready.
Let's get it.
No.
All right, better.
Okay. 2 minutes.
Yeah, can I help you, man? What's up?
Yeah, man, my name's Travis Butterworth. I'm with Lifetime Quality Roofing.
Okay.
Have you noticed all the roofs that have been put in around your area?
Not really.
No? When you drive in, you don't see roofers, you don't hear the nail guns
I mean,
every
they
day?
came like a couple months ago when we had that storm, but yeah, I think the lady on the corner got a new roof. There's been like a couple that have gone up.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with some of your neighbors lately. You know Peggy Smith just down the road?
Yeah, I know. The lady in the corner with the little dog. She was walking around.
Yeah. Have you noticed, like, she went from that kind of old, real thin layer shingle that she had before the storm last year, and now she's got a beautiful laminate system on her roof?
Oh yeah, I did notice they were putting up the new system.
Yeah, well, just like I help every other client, I just start them with an initial complimentary inspection. It takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to get up on the roof and provide you with some detailed photos about what's going on.
Yep.
Just like she was a little, worried about what the outcome
Here's
was
the
gonna
thing,
be,
man.
but-
We've been through this spiel a bunch of times. I know that you guys go up on the roof. You get the insurance company to come out here, but I heard they're denying a lot of these claims, and I don't want my insurance company to raise the rate or drop me.
I got you, man. Well, hey, it's the end of the year, and insurance companies have an allocated amount of money that they can work with through a claim date. And I'll tell you what, man, they're trying to get that money out of the way because guess what? If they don't spend it, what do? They have to lower their premiums for their clients the next year. So it's beneficial for you just to give them a call. I'm kind of like a prereq, right? I get up on the roof, I show you a bunch of photos about what's going on, and afterwards, I just give you a pretty detailed version of whether or not you need to go with it.
That sounds great. What will probably be best for me is if you can just leave me with your business card. I'm going to research your company, and then I'll contact my insurance, and then I'll let you guys know.
Hey, great, man. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got a business card for you here, but I also have a folder about our company with a lot of detailed information. I know you're going to like what you see, man, and I'll tell you what, I start everybody off on this neighborhood with an initial inspection. It's complimentary. Like I said, I'll just go grab my ladder real quick. It'll take me 15 to 20 minutes. You don't have to sign anything. At the end, I'll get an email from you.
Don't want anybody going on my roof right now.
I got you.
All right, good. All right, so that was close. You can't leave yet. For me, they both did very well. I'm calling it a tie, and I'm going to go into one objection that I'm going to hit with both of them, and then we're going to genuinely say who won. Don't vote just on your team. Whoever is the better salesman with this objection for the tiebreaker, and I'm going to give them two separate objections. So you guys will each have an objection. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot for who goes first?
I'll go first.
You go first. All right, you got it here. All right, so. Dude, I understand what you're saying and everything, but like, just to be blunt with you, like, I'm not paying the deductible.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that a lot. In the past, it was definitely legal to go ahead and take that deductible out of the way, make it a little bit more comfortable for you because you don't have any investment in it, right? It's all insurance work. But unfortunately, man, due to the laws in Texas in 2019, they made it illegal for us to do work. And I tell you what, man, if you've got a contractor that's willing to pay deductible, you got to wonder what kind of corners they're
It's not that another contractor is going to pay for it. It's just I know there's damage on the roof.
Okay.
I know that it's got to be replaced.
Okay.
But it's something that we're going to do next year when we can actually pay our deductible.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what, the great thing about just going ahead and moving forward with insurance, is that you've got a pretty good amount of time to plan for these things. They're going to provide you with all the necessary documents and probably give you some money up front as well. But you have a minimum of 180 days to make that decision. I'll tell you what, I'll be with you every step of the way, making sure that this is comfortable, stress-free, because that's really what my job is. Just kind of taking the stress away from the project management, you know? A little different than a retail roof where you just give me half down and I come do the job. You pay me the rest later.
Cool. All right, great. Everyone give it up for him. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we don't even have those check marks. So the whole goal is you put yourself into the back of the line and we can see if we can work your way to the front. But really good how he pushed that sale forward based on that objection. All right, so the next objection, is going to be, so man, like, our roof is 2 years old, bro. It's fine. Like, there's no problems with the roof. Like, we have a really good roof, so when the storm hit, it did not affect our roof.
So, do you know what caused that protection on your home?
I mean, we got the roof, we paid for a new roof like 3 years ago. Like, there's a reason why we did this specific roof, because I know the people that were doing the storm restoration were out here, and I actually went up onto the roof to check it with another roofer. And we both felt like it wasn't enough damage, you know. We're going to wait for the next storm until we actually file a claim.
100%. That's totally reasonable, and that's a fair concern that a lot of homeowners go through. The only problem is this storm that came through was just unnecessarily large. We don't normally deal with storms that are this bad, so even roofs that are, you know, we could have put them on a month before the storm.
I know the storm was bad, but there's no damage.
So the damage you're probably looking for off the first thought on your head is a leak on the interior, and you really want to stop it before it gets to that point. You could have the tiniest little crack across the shingle that's so easy to miss unless you know exactly what you're looking for with the knowledge that you have on what the insurance is looking for. The insurance isn't looking for a hole in the roof. They're looking for evidence that a hole is coming. And it could be 3 years from now, but that damage today is going to start leaks. You're going to have holes.
So how do you know there's damage? Because I heard what happens is you guys just go on the roof and like some guys like take golf balls and try to peel the shingles and like I've already been up there, man. Like,
so everyone starts somewhere. There's new guys that don't know anything about what they're doing, and they're willing to take that risk in committing insurance fraud. But that's not how we handle things. We've built a great relationship with carriers.
So what if you go up there and there's no damage?
Then you're in the best position, because not only do you not have damage.
So what if you go up there and there's damage and then the insurance just denies the claim?
They'll try. That's where I come in. It's my job to help you get past that denial when you deserve it. When you've got the damage that can be agreed upon and they can't argue. With your roof being 2 years old, they can't say it's mechanical.
It all sounds good. If you can just leave me with your business card. All right, good. All right, dude, those were both very good. We're going to let them vote. We're going to get...
Is what could he have said right away on that objection? Anybody?
Doctors every year.
There you go. What else? Okay. The goal was the homeowner stated that they had another contractor up there and there was no damage. How do you get up there to evaluate yourself without crossing the line? And how do you get up there with your sales force?
Yeah. Not everybody specializes in storm restoration and insurance work.
Sometimes it takes hail months and months to be able to be visibly seen on the roofing system.
Yep.
UV rays, water, what's going to happen. So since it's this many months later, my job today is to take a look at that, evaluate it, and
And then a lot of third party, like, you know, Judy was a little dramatic, but what she told me was she just wanted the peace of mind because her home was her biggest investment. And if there was legitimate damage, she didn't want to wait too long for the insurance to tell her that she was negligent. So worst case, I go up there and one or two things happens. Either there's enough damage that we file a claim, or there's no damage and we're friends. You know, just not gonna, there's no way I can hurt your situation. It'll take me like 5 minutes.
All right, we're going to go, and whoever's got the loudest
They were close,
loudest noise wins. Okay? We're going to start with Jacob.
They don't want Orange Team to win.
All right,
come on, baby, let's
give it
go.
up for Jacob.
The one-liner before the chant.
Everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Okay. I want to see that. We heard it there for Jacob. Now, let's hear it for Travis.
I think it's a tie. I'd split the points.
What's that?
I'd split the points. It's close. If you can do that. I mean, I don't like to do that, but they were both.
All right, let's do it one more time. That was close. All right, for Jacob.
Come on, baby.
And now, for Travis. Let's fuck it!
If it's my decision, those are both good. I'm calling it split points. Split points.
Split points.
Split points. 750 apiece. It was close. Good work. Good work.
Thank you very much
Good
for
work.
that. Thank you.
Is it okay that I split the points? All right.
Guys, let's all get back to
All right, then we're done.
our seats and we'll keep the show on the road.